I guess I'll start with, I definitely could have been supportive of a resolution in regard to this topic. I definitely would be supportive of us calling on the federal government to get their act together, especially when we have SNAP benefits for food assistance for needy families that's on the line. I'm a full believer that we need to have a safety net to help those that are in need. That doesn't change the fact that there's definitely needs to be some changes to SNAP benefits. If you look at the biggest problem we have, or I shouldn't say the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems we have in our country is obesity. We have people that are eating unhealthy food in large quantities, and these SNAP benefits is probably the biggest driver of that problem. So I do think that there are changes that need to be looked at the federal level and even at the state level where we can. But that's not really the conversation for today. The conversation for today is we need to make sure that those that are in need have the benefits that are out there that are available to make sure that they don't go hungry. And this is my no vote explanation, by the way. That being said, this resolution does not do that. This resolution it's really sad. I'm going to read 3 parts of it. Here's the first part. It says, there are families who are already struggling under rising inflation. Okay, I can agree with that, but let's continue. From national policies initiated by the Trump administration and the Republican Congress. Okay, well, this is just factually incorrect. You want to go back to where inflation really was generated from? Let's go back to the aptly named the Inflation Reduction Act, which just injected massive amounts of government spending into our country, which raised inflation to levels we had not seen since the 1970s. If we also want to look within this chamber, we spent $9 billion in one budget cycle. All of that money was, boom, injected into our economy and increased prices. It is completely incorrect to have this language in there, and it's also not helpful. All right, what's the next piece of language we should look at? The White House and the Republican congressional majorities have repeatedly used hunger and hardship as political weapons, leveraging the suffering of fellow Americans to advance radical and draconian budget cuts, dismantle social safety nets, and score partisan political points at the expense of working families and human dignity. What an evil image that puts forward. Does anybody actually believe that? How helpful is it to try and heal some of the divisions in our country to put language out like this that casts Republicans as simply evil? This is a shame. I've never put anything out like this against Democrats. I've spoken the truth like I'm trying to speak now. It's the best of my ability. This is ridiculous. Do we need to look at the numbers for the national debt that we have, for what our federal deficit is? Should we just ignore that? Should we just continue to spend money and let inflation continue to rise and rob people of the value of their money and their homes? And this is ridiculous. How is this language going to help bring the federal government to finding a solution and getting these SNAP benefits out there? It's not helpful. And then the last one I'll bring up. Republicans in Congress have generated the political climate that has resulted in the shutdown. Ridiculous. Look at what you made me do. Typical language of people shirking personal responsibility. Look at what you made me do. Ridiculous. This is a joke. This isn't about trying to find healing and bringing some of our divide together, finding solutions. This is about keeping us separate. This is talk about trying to score political points. This is trying to say Republicans bad, Democrats good. Vote for me. No. This is ridiculous. This is a shame. I'll be voting no on this, and I encourage my colleagues to too. And if you come up with something that we can both get behind, if you want to work together on something, I'd be happy to, because we do need to make sure these benefits get done.